Hello and welcome to Bespoke Unit. My name is Rafael, and in this video I'm going to be doing an in-depth review of the Seiko 5 Sports SRPE21. Now the SRPE21, being part of the Seiko 5 Sports Specialist subcollection or subfamily, is perhaps most easily recognized by this dual material or fused strap. However, there's a bunch more details that make this a super interesting timepiece, and we're going to get into all those in this review. Let's get started. And here we have it, the Seiko 5 Sports SRPE21. You can see it here on my wrist. By no means a slim watch. It does stand kind of tall. It wouldn't necessarily fit under this cuff, at least not comfortably. Nevertheless, looks great. Let's get into some of the details. Now, officially, the dimensions on this piece are 42.5 millimeters in diameter. And you can see that that's about right. 46 lug-to-lug. Again, that's quite large, but the watch wears it really well. 13.4. Again, not a thin watch by any means, but the proportions are beautifully done, so it works very well. And lastly, our strap size, 22. For those wondering if you have an extra strap laying around the house, you likely do. After looking at those dimensions, I do want to put it back on my wrist. Again, the watch, the numbers are large. I'm not usually a proponent of watches, at least for myself, that are more than 40 millimeters. Nevertheless, in fact, my regular watch, let's say, is 40, and I think that size is great, but this has 2.5 millimeters more in diameter and probably more than that in lug-to-lug, and it wears great. It doesn't feel oversized. It doesn't feel heavy, even on this strap, on this silicone. So it wears its dimensions very well. Anyways, let's take a closer look at the case here. You can see that the finish on top of the lugs is brushed, polished case sides, as are the crown guards here. There is a slight bevel between the top and the bottom, even though it's polished, so it's hard to discern in the camera, but just a nice bit of detail. You can see there's some cool knurling here on the bezel, which helps you get a good grip on it. There's that click, which is quite satisfactory. And of course, this being a diverged bezel, that's going to be unidirectional. Now the insert, as you can see, is black. It does have a metallic print on the contrasting markings there. And that black on metallic is something that goes through. It's a color scheme, let's say, that goes through to the dial. You can see here the internal minute track is also silver printing on black. Obviously the entire dial is that very attractive flat black color. It has applied hour indices. They're all polished steel, very generously loomed. And you can see that the hands at center are also polished steel. Again, tons of lume. That's going to be Lumibrite, so it shines a very bright green. If you spend, at least in my experience, if you spend, say, 10 minutes outside on a sunny day and you come back inside, you're going to notice this thing shining very brightly. Now, something to note here. You can see here at the bottom of the dial, it says Mov't Japan. So this specific reference, the SRPE21, of course, as the dial says, has a movement that's made in Japan. That's going to be the 4R36, so I'll get into those details in a little bit. You can get this watch in a different style, different reference actually, but it's the same exact style. So what I have here in my right hand is the SPSA 027. You can see, looks almost identical, and that's because it is, except for that printing and except for where it's made. So you can see that the printing here says made in Japan, because the SPSA 027 is made entirely in Japan. I'm assuming that's including the strap, obviously, movement, case, and all of that. But our subject, the SRPE21, it only has a movement made in Japan. Now, that doesn't really make a difference as far as performance or the looks. Again, the design is exactly the same. There's two small differences, let's say, other than the printing being one. The second one is this secondary language on the day. Now, in the case of the SRPE21, you have their lunes, so that's going to be Spanish. Here, you can see there, Tuesday. Oh, okay. Be good if I could change the day. Okay, so Wednesday is our primary, English is our primary language, and you can see in this one, that's going to be Japanese and Friday. So this is the made in Japan watches have English and Japanese as the two languages and the printing, and our subject here is going to have Spanish and English in the date. But really, that's the only difference. The reported performance is exactly the same. The caliber, the movement inside the watch is exactly the same. So if you have this one and you don't really care, you're not the type of collector that, you know, wants to know exactly where the watch was made, then you should be fine, especially considering the fact that the SBSA027, again, the model made entirely in Japan, is likely to command a price premium. Anyways, we've taken a look at the dial. One last detail here, and this was true on the SBSA027, is the second hand. It's got the lollipop motif, let's say. It also has white paint on half of it and then black paint on the other half. So it does add a little bit of contrast there, makes it super easy. If you're ever measuring seconds, then you won't have a problem with this watch. Before we get into the movement, I do want to take a look at this strap. This is the fuse strap that I was talking about. I would imagine this is drawing inspiration from Hublot, because I do believe Hublot was one of the first brands to mix or to use together rubber and alligator, which are, you know, it's almost an oxymoron where alligator is supposed to be for super formal watches and rubber for sportier watches. This is Seiko's attempt at doing that. I think it works well. At this price point, I'm pretty sure this isn't real alligator. Nevertheless, it plays the part very well. I think the strap looks great. This is a dark brown stitch on this black silicone, which is very, very pliable and very comfortable. It does have these nice channels here, and I do think that prevents the strap from kind of sticking to your arm and making it sweat. The other half here, again, a black silicone keeper and a polished and branded tang buckle. All right, moving in to one of the highlights of this piece, and likely of all these new Seiko 5 sports watches, is this new caliber. It's going to be the Seiko 4R36. As you can see once more, well, obviously through the sapphire crystal case back, this wasn't normal, or this didn't exist in its predecessor, the Seiko SKX, so this is new and something that watch fans throughout, including myself, are loving. We can get a good look at the movement. Obviously, it's not finished to a very high degree. Nevertheless, it looks great. It does have that, you know, kind of aggressive, harsh brushing, and I think it really looks great, especially because it matches this movement. This is a workhorse movement. It's made to be, you know, worn actively. It can take a hit and keep ticking, you know, relatively accurately. I was pointing out on the crystal there, you can see Movement Japan. So another one of the things that would separate it from a this model not being made either with a Japan movement or entirely in Japan, as you can see here, made in Japan. This is our SBSA027 again. And our subject in question just says Movement Japan. Other than that, again, the movement performs exactly the same. This is going to be a 41-hour power reserve. The accuracy is plus 45, minus 35 seconds per day. Just trying to get a good look in there. You can see the balance ticking away. Now another update or another pro of these new movements is the fact that they have hacking seconds. So check out the hands, the seconds hand there at center, and if I pull out to the last position, it stops. So what that allows me to do is get super precise with setting time, and then when I'm ready to go again, push it back in and it starts ticking. Now what this piece doesn't have, and I actually failed to mention, the water resistance is 100 meters. Some may find that to be insufficient. I haven't found it to be a limiting factor personally, but a lot of that decrease in water resistance, again, many watch collectors compare this to the SKX, as this model is likely, well, not likely, it's certainly replacing the SKX now that it's been discontinued. And that reduction in water resistance is likely due to this crown, which is, as you can see, I'm winding it right now, so it's clearly not a screw down crown. However, it does bring in the convenience factor that you can hand wind it. That's incredibly comfortable, or incredibly convenient for me anyways. I often leave my watches sitting, maybe it'll be a couple of days I don't wear it. I pick it back up, I wind it, I set it, I push my crown down, and I'm good to go. Again, just like this, without the screw down crown, you get 100 meters water resistance. I believe that's over 300 feet. I've never been 300 feet deep. And if I were to go that deep in the ocean or anywhere, I'd probably want something a bit more reliable and perhaps more technological than a Seiko watch. Nevertheless, this can do it, just not if you're going deeper than that. And there you have it. That's our review of the Seiko 5 Sports SRPE21. Now, if that video left you with any questions or comments, make sure to leave them in the section below. Give us a like if you found this video helpful, and make sure to subscribe to our channel for more men's wristwatch and lifestyle content. Once more, I'm Rafael. This is Bespoke Unit. Thanks for watching.